Peace, family, and welcome to another episode of Underground Railroad Radio. This is your host, Brother Rich. I'm back on the line with Professor Griff. Welcome back to the show, Professor Griff.
Greetings, brother, and it's a pleasure to be back. Pleasure to be back.
Indeed, brother, indeed. Today we're going to talk about, got to talk about the legacy of the late Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. And one thing I have noticed, and I said this on the show before, about how much you reference her work. I mean, since I started this show with you pretty much every week, you know, we could be talking about, I mean, we could be referring to Donald Sterling and the LA Clippers and whatever we talking about. Somehow, some way, you always find a way to reference her work. And it always goes back to, you know, it's like her work is the foundation of what we talk about, regardless of how much it's pop culture or whatever it is. You always reference her work, man. So I'm real happy to have this conversation with you. Professor Griff, what exactly, just to start out with simply, what exactly did what did Dr. Frances Cress Welsing mean to yourself and to the black community?
Well, greetings to the family, first of all. And I think to answer that question very candidly and very honestly, I think what she meant to me, not only representing that mother figure, representing a woman, representing mom to but sister,
right,
the most, representing a teacher to a lot of us. And I think all of that rolled up into a woman that was so classy and cool and intelligent and poignant and right on point with what she taught. Teaching racism, white supremacy for over 45 some odd years is a feat in and of itself, Brother Rich. So what she did to me, and which that energy came through me into to the other brothers in Public Enemy. It led us to do the Fear of a Black Planet album.
Right.
And then and Chuck even said on Twitter, at Mr. Chuck D, he says, thank you, Dr. Welsing. Thank you, my friend, at Harry Allen, IP, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, Fear of a Black Planet inspiration. That sister, we read her work, which inspired us to do Fear of a Black Planet. And it was a task in and of itself because, you know, we had found somewhere how we can get thousands of copies of it, and we were giving it away.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about the Cress theory of color convocation, racism, white supremacy, and we were giving it away. And this sparked so much dialogue and so much talk centered around what we were doing on the album. White people didn't even know how to interview us, man. Because what happened was the Fear of a Black Planet sent them back to go study her work.
Right.
And then that became the discourse on conversations to come when they came to interview Public Enemy. But that sister meant a lot to me. She throughout my whole entire career, especially in the music industry, and then in getting knowledge itself, when I was first introduced to her work, seeing a younger Frances Cress Welsing, it meant so much to me simply because the body of work that she laid out served as the basis to my understanding, not only myself, but white people as a whole, and then understanding the condition of black people.
Do you know when she found out she inspired the Fear of a Black Planet? Did you get a chance to talk to her about that?
Yeah, I talked to her about that very extensively, but the time frame, people were telling her and kept telling her, but she kept saying, you know, I'm not into rap music. So when I was in the audience one time and at one of her lectures, and someone said, she was talking about it. She said, someone tells me that the brothers from the group Public Enemy got a hold of my work and they used it to write an entire album. And somebody yelled out, well, Professor Griff is in the audience. And I stood up. She asked me to come down, and, you know, I gave her a son's mom hug. You understand what I'm saying? It was a beautiful feeling, man. But I just want to say two things real quick. We should never refer to someone of that magnitude as the late Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. We never say the late. We don't hear Christians talk about the late Jesus or Muslims talk about the late Muhammad. You understand what I'm saying? Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Nana Dr. Francis Cress Welsing will live in us always. So there's no words that can describe personal loss and what I'm feeling right now, you know, regarding her passing. And it's like, it's just, sometimes it's, you know, over the last 4 or 5 days, I mean, the last three days, pardon me, it's hard to put together words and keep my emotions in check because she meant so much to me in my growth, spiritually and intellectually.
Indeed. I think the last, I got the opportunity to film her at Long Island University. Shout out to Brother Shabazz, Eye Opener Productions. She came to Brooklyn probably about 6 years ago. And it was a great presentation she came with. And then I think I've seen one other presentation of hers after that. It was called Black Love is a Revolutionary Act. Do you think that statement right there is a bit of a stretch? It's quite a statement to say that love is a revolutionary act, but then to say black love is a revolutionary act. What exactly do you think she means by it's revolutionary just to be black and in love, Professor Griff?
Well, that's a beautiful question, Brother Rich, and I believe if we embody the spirit of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, I think we would honestly have to say, Brother Rich, that revolution is complete, constructive, conscious, cosmic change, borrowing the definition from Dr. Khalid Abdul Muhammad. So inside of the word revolution, we have the word re, meaning to bind back to, or to go back to, or to look again. Inside of the word revolution, we have the word evolution, to evolve, to move forward. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? So if we go back in order to move forward, we have to revisit what it means to be in love with our black selves. And I think Dr. Francis Cress Welsing meant, in a nutshell, that racism and white supremacy cannot thrive if black love is at its peak. So if we are in love with one another, then there's no room for self-hatred, and racism and white supremacy cannot thrive. Now let's give the definition real quick so we can put things in its proper context. Racism and white supremacy is defined as a local and global power system structured and maintained by persons who classify themselves as white. Whether consciously or subconsciously determined, this system consists of patterns of perception, logic, symbol formation, thought, speech, action, and emotional response as conducted simultaneously in all areas of people activity. Those areas are economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war for the ultimate purpose of the system is the ultimate purpose of white genetic survival. And the ultimate purpose of the system is to prevent white genetic annihilation on planet Earth, a planet in which the overwhelming majority of people are classified as non-white, meaning the black, brown, red, and yellow people. And they're classified by white-skinned people. All of the non-white people are genetically dominant in terms of skin coloration compared to the genetically recessive white-skinned people. And that's the working fundamental definition of racism and white supremacy by Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. And I need to add to that and say, Brother Rich, at this point, that white supremacy is antithetical to justice. You can't have white supremacy and justice at the same time. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So to those people that think I'm trying to be super intelligent and I'm the professor, let's just break down real quick what's antithetical. Antithetical simply means directly opposed or contrast, mutually incompatible, meaning that if you have a thesis and then you have an anti-thesis, right, which is opposed to the thesis, meaning that if you have justice and then you have the antithesis to justice, which is racism, white supremacy, because racism, white supremacy is their system, and they're not dispensing justice. Then Dr. Frances Cress Welsing is absolutely correct when she says that white supremacy is antithetical to justice. You cannot have white supremacy and justice at the same time. This is why she says that the highest form of justice in America, all of them that's supposed to dispense this justice, wear black robes and black uniforms. The military, the police, and the judges all wear black robes simply because they dress themselves in melanin. And this is Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's teachings in her book, The ISIS Papers, The Keys to the Colors, and the Cress Theory of Color Confrontation. So with black love, Brother Rich, if we just loved one another, we would love white people right on out of existence, first of all, and we would set a system of justice in place because we would just love one another, and there would be no room for what we've said on this particular show many times, talking about the Willie Lynch letter. There would be no hatred. There would be no pitting one against the other because we would just love ourselves, have a self-love, and then we would demonstrate a higher degree of love by loving one another.
I want to touch on her work as far as, you know, this idea of white genetic annihilation and melanin being dominant, white being recessive, and just in terms of how we view it and how we create ideas of our own revolution and our own progress. And by that, what I mean is I talked to, I remember that, listen, man, this was years ago, Griff. I mean, I probably had to be about 21 years old or something like that, a long time ago. And there was this crackhead, for lack of better words, a crackhead on the street, and the crackhead was telling me how something must have happened on the news, some type of racial event. And the crackhead was telling me how, that we could fuck white people out of existence. Mm-hmm. And that how he doesn't know why some of the pro-black brothers get mad for the brothers talking to white women because he kept saying, man, we could fuck them out of existence. I don't know. I must have been around somebody who must have been saying something. And he was like, hey, man, why you get so mad, man? We could just fuck them out of existence. Young blood, what's wrong? Da-da-da-da. So my question to you, Professor Griff, is we know that the interracial thing, they're pushing it at an all-time high right now. That and the gay agenda is being pushed all over the media. Why would you, Professor Griff, be upset at their interracial agenda if, like this crackhead said, we could fuck them out of existence? If we're with them interracially and there's let's say a white woman and a black man, the baby that comes out might look like Obama. So what's the beef about, Professor Griff?
Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. Speak,
Professor Griff,
and or action. Pardon me?
No, you was breaking up. Say that again. I don't want to miss it.
Okay. Dr. Neely Fuller Jr. in his book, The United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of racism, white supremacy, Neely Fuller Jr. He says that if you do not understand racism, white supremacy, and how it works, everything else will only serve to confuse you. And this is one of those things that's confusing us. In order for us to fuck white people right on out of existence, we'd have to do a whole lot of fucking, Brother Rich. And then what would we do with the end result of the children that we produce? Will they establish justice on the planet as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing desires? So we have to start looking at military strategy and understanding these kind of statements, and will they even work, Brother Rich? That may sound cool for the horny crackhead that you ran into. That may sound cool for the brother that's already fucking white women. But for the rest of us that want to end racism, white supremacy, and establish justice on this planet so that we can all be free. I'm talking about the entire human family. That strategy, Brother Rich, is not going to work. Simply put, if we find a few brothers that's overwhelmingly choosing white women to plant their seed in, there's not enough of them that we could produce millions of children that will have black people's freedom, liberation struggle in their mind and to establish justice for us on this planet, Brother Rich. That's not being taught. That's not being done. Brothers are haphazardly escaping and running from the black woman and running into the bosom of white women, not understanding that you're dropping your seed into this toxic waste dump to produce children that may not serve and defend black people. And we need to understand this particular concept, that concept may not work. This whole idea of fucking them out of existence. Even if you do come up with the people that look like Barack Obama, them people are not necessarily going to serve black people, as we're seeing with Barack Obama and some other people that we know that came from that union.
You know, Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, was a living example of class, intelligence, just poise, just grace. I mean, you think of a positive adjective, and she embodied it. And she was alive in the flesh here with us. She still is with us. She still is with us. But we didn't have to look to a Jesus Christ of 2,000 years ago as an example of somebody with good attributes of a role model. Why is it that we have somebody here, but yet we still don't try to embody them same principles? Like the woman, there's a lot of women that may look up to her and that may say, oh, she was such a wonderful woman, but at the same time, they're not trying to be like her, or they're not using the good qualities which she possessed and embodied it within themselves. And as far as the men, they see this type of woman, but at the same time, they go look for a woman who's not embodying those type of principles Dr. Francis Cress Welsing embodies. So why do we see the example in flesh, in person, but we still, as a black community, choose to go the other way? Why is that, Professor Griff?
I think simply because we still suffer from the Willie Lynch chip, man. We still suffer from that. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said, and I quote, the most disastrous aspect of colonization, which you are the most reluctant to release from your mind, is the colonization of the image of God. I'm going to read that again. The most disastrous aspect of the colonization, which you are the most reluctant to release from your mind, is their colonization of the image of God. So that whole idea that them colonizing us and then colonizing the whole concept and the image of God, which they actually use to force on us, to force down our throats, to subjugate us to the whole mental slavery. And this is the thing that Dr. Francis Cress Welsing was trying to get us out of. He said the major problem that black people have today is the refusal to develop a race-first philosophy. We generally refuse to put the interests of black people first and foremost. We love a world that does not love us back. We love a world that just doesn't love us back. So that woman, seeing how brilliant Dr. Francis Cress Welsing is, they don't want her nappy afro. They don't want her lips and her nose. They don't care how brilliant Dr. Francis Cress Welsing is. They don't want to look like Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. They don't want to give the credit where credit is due, simply because the image of their God has been colonized, and we have that so ingrained in our spirit that we can't rid ourselves of that image. I remember one time she had the audience close their eyes and reflect on the image of God. And she asked the people to open their eyes. How many of y'all still saw a white Jesus. Now we talk about a room half filled with conscious people, pro-black conscious people, and the white image of Jesus still comes up in your mind. I don't care how black you are and how pro-black you are. And that's the reality. So she talks about the theory of color confrontation. She said it states that the white or color deficiency Europeans responded psychologically with a profound sense of numerical inadequacies and the color inferiority upon the confrontation with the massive majority of the world's people, all of whom possess varying degrees of color producing capacity. That everywhere white people went, they ran into people that can produce color. This set in motion a fear, so they had to come up with a system that they would dominate the planet, being the minority. She said the psychological response, be it described as conscious or unconscious, was one of deeply sensed inadequacy, which struck a blow at the most obvious and fundamental part of white people's being, the fact that their internal voice was saying to them, we have to survive on a genetic level. So we have to put a system in place to keep the black man and woman down. And the aim was primarily aimed at the black man, not to take anything away from the sisters. But the attack was there aimed at the black man, plain and simple. And we have to understand, and she said the system understands that in order to oppress black people, it has to oppress the men. I'm going to say that again, Brother Rich. The system understands racism, white supremacy, as a system understands that in order to oppress black people, it has to oppress the men. Let the women do what they want within limits now. I don't mean that the women are not oppressed as the black man is oppressed, but the black woman is not oppressed, and they are not the primary target, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing teaches. That's not Professor Griff's teaching. And then she went on to talk about some books, Brother Rich, that I had to add to my library because I've never known that so many Jewish people wrote about this particular subject. As I studied symbology, Brother Rich, and I went into Frances Cress Welsing's book, The ISIS Papers, and she talked about the ball game. And I tried to understand the color confrontation. She mentioned the book in one of her lectures called The Birth Dearth. B-I-R-T-H. Dearth. D-E-A-R-T-H. What happens when white people in free countries don't have enough babies? By Ben J. Wattenberg. And when she talked about this particular book, she said white people are concerned at the zero birth rate. And black people are just having babies like it ain't nothing. Babies after babies after babies. And this concerns white people. Although white people are the majority that are on welfare, black people are still having babies, Brother Rich. So when we talk about symbology, when we talk about the ball game, we need to understand that she laid it out beautifully and masterfully. She said when you look at the pool game, the game of pool, she said when you look at it, it says the white ball, which is the cue ball, knocks all the other balls under the green earth. And normally billiards, pool tables are made with green tabletops, which represents the land, which represents the earth. All the colored balls represent all the other races of the people on the planet. And the last ball that the white cue ball has to deal with is the 8 ball, which is the black man. And this is what we're dealing with today when she gives us symbology and she talks about these things in her book, The ISIS Papers, The Key to the Colors, Brother Rich. There was another book, if I have a minute to mention it, Brother Rich.
Go ahead, brother.
She talked about, and this is the book that if I could use the terminology, knocked me off my feet. In one of her lectures, she talked about chemical and biological warfare, Brother Rich. And she mentioned a book called The Survey of Chemical and Biological Warfare. Please, brothers and sisters, write this book down. I have a copy here, and it's so difficult to get, Brother Rich. It's The Survey of Chemical and Biological Warfare. She said in that book, which was written some time ago, Brother Rich, I'm trying to find the date on it now. She says in that book, it talked about them coming up with a biological agent, and that chemical and biological agent that they came up with, Brother Rich, is called AIDS. Developed at Fort Detrick, Maryland. I'm talking about AIDS. I'm talking about Africans in deep shit AIDS. I'm talking about America is doing the shit AIDS. I'm talking about using that as a chemical and biological warfare agent. And then the United States government hooked up with the World Health Organization, which their initials are WHO, WHO, went into Africa, and under the guise of smallpox, they gave a large population in Africa the AIDS virus. Then lied and said, called it the green monkey disease, the Vervex monkey disease, they call it, if you can remember, Brother Rich. And they said either a Haitian or African got bit in the ass by a green monkey, and this is how AIDS started. Stop the blood clot crying. It's bullshit.
Right.
It's bullshit. So they feel they can run that down on us, and we would believe anything. And they set this story in motion, and black people not studying, not being awake and aware, pass that story around like it's some juicy-ass gossip on a reality show. It's so far from the truth, Brother Rich. White people in America, the military, the CIA, and the government of the United States have always came up with chemical and biological weapons to deal with black people. They have ethnic weapons, Brother Rich, that will only affect black people. So get the book, The Survey of Chemical and Biological Warfare.
You know, in terms of color and race, I was talking to Blue Pill about this.
Wait. I'm sorry, Brother Rich. I need to be a little bit more thorough. Let me pull this document back up in my notes to give you the name, because people are going to look for it. There's a copyright back in 1969. And when did AIDS come to the surface? Come on now. It came to the surface in the 80s, right? Because crack and AIDS hit at the same time. Chemical and biological warfare. Right. So it's by John Cookson, Cookson, and Judith Nottingham. All right? Back in 1969. It's very difficult to get, Brother Rich, but I'm sorry. Go on.
Oh, I was just saying, I did an interview with Blue Pill early in the week, you know, speaking on Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, and I mentioned Blue Pill about there's a video floating around on the internet. It's on World Star Hip Hop and other sites as well, and it shows a white lady wanted to, you know, I guess she wanted to do a social experiment, and she bought her daughters, probably about 5, 6 years old, very young, some dolls. So the dolls was black. So when the daughters, they was excited to get the toy, but when they opened up the toy and seen the dolls, they were very disappointed. Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it, yes.
Yeah. How is a child at that age, at 5, 6, able to already get disappointed in seeing a doll that's not their color, but a young black girl is the complete opposite. And this is at 5 and 6 years old, Professor Griff. A black girl at 5 and 6 is ecstatic to get that white doll. But why isn't that white girl at 5 and 6 ecstatic to get the black doll, Professor Griff?
I think we've been conditioned, Brother Rich, to accept the gift, and we've been conditioned with the original black doll test. That black is white is somehow better. White is somehow pure. White is somehow holy. White is somehow chaste, unchaste, and pure and holy, and all these things that we would look at as being pure. And this is ingrained in black children at an early age via television, via the media, via the books in school, via the parents, aunties, uncles, brothers, and sisters. And the child sees this, and a lot of times, Brother, it comes across as nonverbal communication, and children are processing this. And you know the whole thing that Dr. Frances Cress Welsing lays out. If you're black, you're back. If you're brown, stick around. If you're yellow, you're mellow. With white, you're all right.
Yeah.
And she said, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing teaches that young black children learn this at an early age. At the same time, Brother Rich, on the other side of the tracks, what are young white children learning at an early age? What we saw in that particular experience, Brother Rich, is learned behavior.
Mm-hmm.
Some people would ask me the question, what, was white people born racist? No, but they have an inordinate self-image to the point where they know this early on, that they have to survive, and they know this on a subconscious level, Brother Rich. And they know that if they get with black people, they won't survive that on a genetic level. Their teaching and who and what they are may last for several hundred years in us until we find a way to get it out of us. But when you see young white children acting that way, they were taught that, Brother Rich. They may have been taught, as Dr. Frances Cress Welsing says in her definition of racism and white supremacy, she says, whether consciously or subconsciously determined. The system consists of patterns of perception, Brother Rich. Symbol formations, Brother Rich. Thought, speech, action, and emotional response as conducted simultaneously in all areas of activity, Brother Rich. And what we saw, it was an emotional response in the area of entertainment, Brother Rich. The child saw that she has gifts. She's happy. It's a joyous occasion. With the emotional response, when she saw that it was a black child, that child was taught that everything black is evil, wicked, dismal, hateful, dirty, ugly. And guess what? We are taught the same damn thing. We're taught that every time we interact with black, white people made that interaction very painful. So you don't want a black woman that's dark with nappy, kinky, beautiful, nappy, kinky hair, big breasts and a big butt. You don't want that, man, full lips, because we're taught that that is ugly. At the same time, Brother Richard, I'm going to end that with this point, that question with this point. At the same time, Brother Rich, white men are drooling over black women because white men understand that heaven is between the legs of an African woman, as taught to us by Dr. Ben.
Now, I don't have the exact quote in front of me. I've been trying to get it. For some reason I can't find it. This dude, Mark Lamont Hill. I
don't have the actual quote in front of me also, but I did read and hear what he had to say.
Well, what do you think? Why do you think he would come out? I don't think it was less than 24 hours after the announcement of her passing. Why would a black man come on TV? At first he's like, oh, rest in power. And then after saying rest in power, just starts to disrespect her legacy by saying a bunch of negative stuff about her. I guess some of it was a reference to the LGBT community and, her theory of color confrontation. Why do you think, why would somebody do that, Professor Griff?
I think they set these black men up in position of so-called intellectual prowess and leadership. And then this character becomes the go-to guy in dealing with black matters simply because he's articulate in the way he expresses himself. He's articulate in the way he goes about articulating black pain and black struggle in America. But that doesn't necessarily say that he's on our team or he's part of the black struggle. He can articulate it, yes, but so can white people. Tim Wise is beautiful at doing that. But we don't know if Tim Wise is necessarily on our team. So he's articulate at doing that. Plus, he's the right complexion for white people to prop up and use in these particular instances. So although you've seen probably thousands of posts and pictures of Dr. Francis Welsing over the last few days.
I don't mean to cut you off, Griff. Let me just read part of it. I just seen it. I just don't want to let it go while I got you on the line.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, let me just read a part. It says, R.I.P. Dr. Francis Welsing, a major producer of discourse of Afrocentric thought around black family and community, to whom Umar Johnson, Boyce Watkins benefit from greatly. How do we honor the dead? Do we romanticize the best of them and negate their damaging acts and rhetoric? Or do we paint them whole by admitting the valuable contributions they made to thinking beyond deficit narratives of black life, while at the same time efficiently demonizing and distorting particular black lives, black women, and LGBT folk? I say we must do both. This is a part of Welsing's legacy, and today we are left with the words which programmatically produce all non-traditional blackness. Women who are not differential to their men, and women who desire same-sex partners to be a part of some European colonialist project of destruction. And because we so desperately desire explanation of our circumstances as black people, anything is better than nothing has propelled Dr. Welsing and others to the forefront of community knowledge production, drowning out much more humanistic, research-based, and nuanced discussion of black humanity in the world of white supremacy. And I'm going to end it there, and I'm going to just let you continue, but I just had to say that. Go ahead, brother.
No, that is very necessary that we actually read the words of some of these people that will quietly benefit from those of us that will carry on the baton of the ISIS papers or the Cress theory of color confrontation and the spirit of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. He sits back quietly and benefits from it. But as soon as the sister passes, and we don't have to deal with her while she was present, because in his heart, this was always in his heart. But look, nigga, why didn't you say this when the sister was present? And just because you think no one's going to stand up and defend the sister and her legacy, that you could now offer lip service to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing and her work and shoot her down and disrespectful, your dumb ass got another thing coming. It's not going to happen on my watch. Plain and simple. And if intellectually we got to track that Negro down and put his words right in front of him and deal with him and his words, we will do that. Plain and simple. And anyone else that want to follow suit. Any of these other Negroes and Negresses that want to follow suit. It's a shame that these Negroes always want to run their mouth, but they never do anything to propel and advance us as a collective whole forward. That's an individual Negro, Uncle Tom bootlicking Negro, speaking for his damn self. But because he's in a position now that he has to speak for all of the, he said it himself, if you read carefully, the non-traditional blackness. Anything is better than nothing when we reach to those that have this community knowledge production. You see how he crafts his words so much so that it almost will get by those of us that don't have our antennas up in the way of formulating a military strategy intellectually to deal with this peon. So when you start talking about non-traditional blackness, well, what are you actually talking about? I thought you were speaking about Black Lives Matter and defending the LBGTQ, elemental P, whoever the hell they are. Are you following me?
Yeah.
So if these are non-traditional, if this is non-traditional black, why be black at all? Black is dominant. Black is beautiful. Black is powerful. Black is all that I ever want to be. So when you start talking about non-traditional black, you're going by white people's definition of what non-traditional black is. I had to wrestle with this when the whole neo-soul era was being forced on us. And it actually produced some beautiful artists like Jill Scott. So what is neo-soul? Why can't we just have soul? Soul is a beautiful thing. Soul is the thing that white people lack. Why do we have neo-soul? See, we had to dumb soul down in order to appease white people. So they can stand around with martinis at the club now and drink and chit-chat and dance to and do the two-step to. Are you following me? So we had to dumb it down and we had to just call it neo-soul. Stop that. So we start talking about non-traditional blackness but because he doesn't understand Dr. Francis Cress Welsing handcuffing this idiot Dr. William Shockley on national TV. Maybe he didn't see that because she didn't do that in a non-traditional way. She's in the line of divine. This is why myself and Zaza put so much energy into keeping Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's legacy and word and energy alive on every show that we've done with you, Brother Rich. We put the energy into bringing Dr. Francis Cress Welsing to town that Saturday, May 23rd, 2015, and we called it the Divine Goddess Principle. And we invited Marimba Ani. You understand what I'm saying? And myself and Zaza put it together, and Marimba Ani said her piece. Zaza did a masterful job in that, and Dr. Frances Cress Welsing finished it off with what she gave us, which was a set of instructions, which was a beautiful thing. I had the privilege during that particular day to have personal conversations with her because I was the driver. You know how that goes, Brother Rich.
Right.
You know, if I got that sister alone by myself, I was going to ask some questions I couldn't necessarily ask in public, but I got my set of instructions. And she basically said to me that you're already doing it. You understand what I'm saying? And that's the same set of instructions I got when I had a personal conversation with Minister Louis Farrakhan. She said, keep doing what you're doing, Brother Griff. You understand what I'm saying? So, to this brother, I don't even think we should call him a brother. We have to start neutralizing these imps, man. You understand what I'm saying? It's an intellectual battle and confrontation. Listen, brother, I'm going to be honest with you. I got a hold of the Cress theory of color confrontation. It wasn't the Cress theory of just color and let's get along with white people and let's let everybody up in the club. Hell no. It was called the Cress theory of color confrontation. Confrontation, Brother Rich. And we use this to confront racism, white supremacy in our album, The Fear of a Black Planet. And if we have to regurgitate and do a damn remix and run up on this Negro, then we'll do that. Plain and simple.
You know, just in terms of things, and not just this guy here, Mark Hill, said, as far as a more humanistic approach, I noticed that a lot of the... Wait, what
the hell is more human than being black?
Yeah,
everybody else has to qualify to be human. If you ain't black, you ain't human. You got a complete one because you're lacking melanin. You lacking that chemical greatness, which is black, which lines every organ of the body. You can't even see right with damn blue eyes and hazel eyes and green eyes. The darker the eye, the more powerful the sight. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Everything has melanin. You cut yourself. That black substance that surrounds that womb and heals the womb is melanin. The universe is lined with melanin. The womb is lined with melanin. Why do you think so many brothers are trying to get back in the damn womb? Right. To find that comfort in that melanin. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Why do you think the breast, the nipples are dark? Because that melanin surrounds it. That's the most sensitive areas of the body. Them beautiful black lips that we kiss when we kiss the black woman, that's melanin, man. Every thought is lined with melanin. If you understand it from an esoteric point of reference, a metaphysical point of reference, every black thought that goes out, the vibration of it, is lined with that spiritual melanin. But anyway, I'm sorry for cutting you off, man.
Well, I noticed, Professor Griff, that most of the negative comments, besides from being from whites on the internet, was from the gay community, and right. I guess they kind of feel that what do you think? I guess they feel. I'm trying to figure out how to word this. I guess they feel that the same way whites, or the same thing whites did to black people, they feel as though pro-blacks are doing to gays in a sense that they're not a part of God's plan. So, they say that, white people told black people they were cursed. You got Hitler and this white supremacy thing. They're the dominant, God's chosen people. So now gays feel as though, people who are pro-black feel as though because they're a homosexual, they're not part of God's divine plan. What would you have to say in response to that, Professor Griff?
Well, gay people are part of God's divine plan. But what part of the damn plan? You understand what I'm saying? Right. That's an abominable behavior. It's an abomination. So when you look in the scripture, if we're going to talk about God's divine plan, if you look in the scripture, We find them being destroyed in Sodom and Gomorrah, where right now, today, a damn blade of grass won't even grow. He hated that behavior so much that they actually wanted to have sex with God's elite. That's a damn shame. God sent a man down to get their behavior correct. They're looking at the man's backside. So when you talk about God's divine plan, we have to figure out what plan did God write them in or out of. And then we have to take it from that perspective. So if the gay community has an argument, your argument is not with pro-black brothers and sisters. Your argument is with God. Take that up with God. Then come talk to us. And that's all I have to say about that, Brother Richard. That, it is what it is. Your fight is not with us, it's with God. Plain and simple. That if God wanted you to be that way, and that particular behavior is looked at very positively by God's creatures and God's people on the planet, then God would have made a way for that in nature. Nothing in nature, nothing two males in nature go together and produce anything, or two females. It's the dialectical laws of opposites that produces life. It's the balance. It's the ma'at. It's truth, balance, justice, reciprocity, and order. It's the law of polarity. It's the law of duality. Everything in nature has its polar opposites that produce life. We could go into their behavior and we look at, does that behavior produce life? Absolutely not. It produces the death of the spirit, which is also part of God's plan. We just need to read God's plan a little bit more carefully.
Indeed. Now, could you, I guess to close out with Professor Griff, could you let the people know about, the memorial service that's going to happen for Dr. Welsing?
Well, I could let them know that, but there's a few other things I gotta lay it out there, Brother Richard.
Right, good, yeah.
I gotta tell the people that people often say, well, what's the solution? What's the solution? Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, as deep as she is, Brother Rich, laid some things out in the ISIS papers and the Cress theory of color confrontation that may be kind of deep for some people. But in her lectures, she laid out some basic stuff. She says, without true self-respect, all efforts for achievement will be in vain. In keeping with the goal, all black children before the age of 6 should be taught the following fundamental exercises in black self-respect by black adult examples in the home, school, church, and neighborhood. 1, stop name calling. Stop calling just call the person by their name. Stop calling me all these names under the damn YouTube clip. You understand what I'm saying? Stop cursing at one another. Well, that one I got to get a hold on. But anyway, stop cursing at one another. Stop squabbling with one another. Stop gossiping about one another. Stop snitching on one another. Stop being discourteous and disrespectful towards one another. Stop robbing one another. Stop stealing from one another. Stop fighting one another. Stop killing one another. Stop using and selling drugs to one another. Stop throwing trash down and dirt on the streets in the places where black people live, work, and learn. One of the most revolutionary things Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said we could do is pick up a damn broom. And that's very real, and we need to understand that, Brother Rich. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing, our sister, made her transition. And she left us, Brother Rich, with some divine instructions, and we need to take heed to that. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing said, reading is more important than watching TV or watching television. That's very, very, very real. We need to take heed to that. Why wouldn't we do that? She says, we do not see the war being waged against us. We don't want to see it because we are afraid. We are engaging in behavior specifically designed to block out any awareness of the war, our true reality. That's our true reality, and we don't want to face it. John Singleton mentioned in his movie, The Baby Boy, right or wrong.
Right.
After getting the script and rewriting it and going back over it, he had to say to himself, no, we have to kind of do something different about this, man. And he wrote it in masterfully. And that's a beautiful thing that brother did. So in certain ways, some of these actors and actresses and filmmakers and directors and rappers, they can do something to contribute to the upliftment of our people. Two things, Brother Rich. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing gave us a pledge. She says, I pledge allegiance to my own black self-respect, and to respect all other black, and shades of black people on the planet Earth, all of whom are victims of the global system of racism, white supremacy. And I pledge to use all of my life, energy, intelligence, and existence to eliminate the global system of racism, white supremacy on planet Earth, and to replace it with justice, so that there can be peace. So help me, Ra. That was our Dr. Francis Cress Welsing's pledge. And what a beautiful pledge it is, Brother Rich. So her memorial service, her 40-day ascension, her homegoing ceremony and service will be Saturday, January 23rd, 2016, at Howard University's Crampton Auditorium, 2455 6th Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20059, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. That's Saturday, January 23rd, 2016, at Howard University's Crampton Auditorium, 2455 6th Street Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20059, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. And I hope black people show up, that we can honor our sister, Nana, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Brother Rich. Now listen, Brother Rich, I have to read this flyer that I failed to read on the last show about where I'm going to be in North Carolina. We have to understand something, Brother Rich. It is our duty and our responsibility to keep the legacy of Dr. Francis Cress Welsing alive. There's something going on, Brother Rich, on the internet that's a shameful way to honor our sister. Somebody is actually giving her book away free, Brother Rich. And I just want to say, like that Negro Mark Hill, that's a no-no. Let's not dishonor our sister by giving her book away. You understand what I'm saying? That sister poured her energy, her life force, and her energy into producing that particular book. And I heard, Brother Rich, that she was in the middle of writing the ISIS Papers Part 2. Did you hear that?
No, I didn't hear that, man. No.
So whoever's going to be left with the charge of having her personal effects out of her home, I hope they put a committee together, Brother Rich, to make sure that book ends up in circulation and in the hands of our people, so that we can take her work and build and stand on the shoulders of our good sister, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, who's now an ancestor. All right? We have to do that, Brother Rich. I mean, we're left with the charge of doing that. Someone passed on Anthony Browder's phone number to me. I'm going to call Dr. Anthony Browder tomorrow to Washington, D.C. I'm going to meet with Dr. Anthony Browder to see who's in charge of that particular task on getting that monumental work put out. We cannot let the legacy of that sister just sit on the shelf. We have to begin to honor the Amos Wilson and the monumental work that he left, Dr. Ben Yakinen, and all the ancestors, the brothers and sisters that have now entered into the ancestral realm. We have to honor them by being them, Brother Rich. Yes. We have to take their work down off the shelf and stop letting their work collect dust, Brother Rich. And we have to now become our ancestors. I'm trying to find the flyer as we speak, and they're going to kill me if I don't read this thing. But anyway, in Raleigh, North Carolina, I'm finding the flyer now. Me and Black Dot are going to be in Raleigh, North Carolina. And the brothers and sisters that are putting it together, I know one of the brothers is John Trey. But brothers and sisters can call me at 678-557-2919, or just go on my Facebook page, Brother Rich, at Kavan Shah /Professor Griff on Facebook. And I'm going to put the flyer up on my website, www.professorgriff.me, and also www.pgriff.info, to make sure people get the flyer and they know that me and Black Dot are doing this lecture on January 16th in Raleigh, North Carolina. So the people can just call me directly, 678-557-2919, and get the information for the lecture that me and Black Dot are going to be doing.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to hear more.
The other thing I'd like to mention, Brother Rich, in reference to the information, the alchemical cipher is going to start in March. All right? We have to begin to study, Brother Rich.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting a study group together called the Alchemical Cipher. And all people have to do in order to register for the Alchemical Cipher is just send me their name, their Facebook page, their phone number, and their email address to seriousmindsinfo@gmail.com. That's SIRIUS mind, MINDZ, info, INFO@gmail.com. If you want to participate in the Alchemical Cipher. All right? It's a study group that we're going to have online so the people don't even have to leave their homes. All right? We hooked it up in such a way where people can get it on their phones and study with us while they're in motion. But it's best to sit down at your laptop or your computer so you can see the presentation in its fullness. And we're looking to have Phil Valentine, Layla Africa, Black Dot, Siddiqui Bakari, and a few other people giving classes online every month, Brother Rich. A different scholar, different researcher giving us. It's going to cost a couple of dollars, but nonetheless, we'll be able to extract and get it firsthand from the teachers themselves, man.
Mm-hmm. Powerful, man. Powerful.
So give thanks. It's just something that I've always wanted to do, and it's just a carryover of what we were doing from Enemy Minds, and now under the banner of Serious Minds. We just have to make it. We got to make it happen. It's something I have to do.
That's going to be powerful, man. I know the people going to sign up for that one.
Oh, give thanks, man. And to the people that's already registered and left me their information under the Enemy Minds banner, I'm going to go back and extract those email addresses and add them to the list. This is a critical day in time, man. King Simon told me this year is under the number 9. Everything that's hidden in the individual is going to be manifested, man. We're going to start seeing people for who they really are, man. For real.
Oh man, we're gonna have to look out then if that's the case.
Exactly. Nothing is going to be hidden in 2016, man. You either put up or shut up.
Right.
Plain and simple.
Wow.
Plain and simple.
Did you still looking for that flyer, Griff?
I'm still looking for the flyer, but I'm good. I'm gonna just have the people contact me directly, and I'll give them the information, or they can just go on my Facebook page and get it, and I'll constantly put it up, or just go to Facebook/Enemy Minds. All right, it's up on the Serious Minds Facebook page. People can just get it. People can just get it from there, rather than waiting on me to thumb through all these damn images I have on my damn computer to try to find it. Some brother sent me some information where me and Malibu Cable, Mali Baruti, and Irritated Genie, we're going to be in St. Louis, February 27th, Saturday, February 27th. That's going to be critical. It's a carryover of the Warriors Conference. Just a smaller, scaled-down version of it. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And the Warriors are going to get together, and I'm telling you, man, we got to lay out some instructions, man. And if the people don't organize, come together, respect the code of conduct, adhere to what not only the ancestors but the elders are laying down, join the organization, and carry out the work that needs to be carried out. There's no such thing as an individual in this, Brother Rich. No big I and little you. I am because we are, therefore I am. Everyone has to be part of an organization. This individual out there thinking that they can do it by themselves, no. There's no amount of words that you can put together on Facebook that you can stand alone in this war that we're fighting. Everyone needs allies. Everyone needs support. All right? We have to start beginning to build black organizations once again so that when we meet one another, we say, peace, brother, peace. That's what organization you belong to. You understand what I'm saying? So that individual now becomes held accountable.
Accountable.
If
right.
we find them out of line, we go to the head of the organization or the council in that organization to check that particular brothers and sisters' behavior.
Indeed, indeed. No accountability these days, huh?
Ain't that something, man? No code of conduct. Nobody respects anyone. Pardon, that's double negative. No one, there's a lot of people that's out there that's just not respecting anyone. People are running rampant, saying what they want to say, doing whatever they want to people, and they think they're getting away with it. No, that's about to come to a grinding halt, man. No, that's about to come to a halt. I'm sorry. We cannot allow people to keep running rampant through the black community and through the conscious community, which is the same community, doing whatever they want to and saying whatever they want to about people, and they think they're getting away with it. I found the damn flyer. UAWP presents Black Dot and Professor Griff. I will be speaking on Who Stole the Soul, the alchemical transformation of reconstructing the consciousness based off of my comic book, Who Stole the Soul. Black Dot will be talking about urban culture decoded, a detailed look into the urban experience. Doors open up at 4 p.m. In Raleigh, North Carolina, Saturday, January 16th, 2016. All right, at the Beanie Cultural Center, 2011 Pool Road, Raleigh, North Carolina. The contact info, you can email knibold@gmail.com or just call. Now, that's the PayPal information I gave you. You can PayPal. You can pay in advance at knibold@gmail.com, or you can call 919-307-3742. All right? 919-307-3742. I'm going to put this flyer on the Enemy Minds and Serious Minds Facebook page, and people can go and get it there, Brother Rich. I really appreciate you giving me the amount of time that you've given me tonight, man, an opportunity to honor our sister as we come together to see our sister back home. Remember, brothers and sisters, we never speak of our elders and our greats and our ancestors as being dead. All right? Never. All right? This sister is now our ancestor, and we have to treat her as such. All right? The other number for that lecture is 704-635-3621. I love you to life, Brother Rich, man. All right? Love you to life.
Man, I appreciate, brother, just like I said, every show continuing to remind me of her book and her information, man. Because, it's an overload of information out here. And like I said, I read her book years ago. I put it down, and I did not pick it back up until I started my show with you. So I got it, man. And so that's why I was like, man, I got to talk to Griff about this. I got to talk to Griff about this because you kept it alive. And that's very important. We live in a culture where we get rid of our elders, where once you pass 45, we act like you don't exist no more. So, right. I know she definitely appreciates what you have done for her by keeping her legacy alive. And on that note, this is Brother Rich, Underground Railroad Radio with the Professor Griff. We signing out, family. We see y'all next week. Peace.
Peace.